Welcome to another inspiring edition of the No Limits Life podcast. I'm your host, Nordine, joined by my co-host, Ken.
Nordine.
Today, we're diving into the extraordinary journey of a man who has not only built businesses, but also helped share the nonprofit world. He's a Broadway co-producer, a tech entrepreneur, a world traveler, and a record holder with a passion for making a meaningful impact. True purpose is not just about personal success. It's about using your strength to lift others and create lasting change. Our guest today is Allan Pressel, the founder of and CEO of Parasite 123, a company dedicated to helping nonprofits create world-class websites. Named one of the world's leading e-philanthropy experts by the E-Philanthropy Foundation. Allan is a published author and recipient of the Volunteer Service Award from President George W. Bush. Beyond his work in tech and philanthropy, Allan has co-produced a major Broadway musical about Abraham Lincoln, co-founded multiple nonprofits, and even found his way into the Guinness Book of World Records. And he's also an All-American springboard diver who has explored over 100 countries. Please join us in welcoming a true innovator and impact-driven leader, Allan Pressel.
Hi, Nordine. Hi, Ken. Nice to be here with you guys.
Allan, it's great to have you here. Today's quote is, "True purpose is not just about personal success. It's about using your strength to lift others and create lasting change." How does that resonate with your journey from entrepreneurship to philanthropy and everything in between?
Nordine, what a great question. I think that for millennia, mankind has been on a quest to understand the meaning of life. I think, thanks to my son with autism, whose name is Austin, I've found it. And I'm going to share it with you. But before I do, let me share a couple of anecdotes that will put this all in context. Mm-hmm. When my son was 27 months old, he was diagnosed with autism. That was shattering and devastating for me. But in the 30 seconds after I was told that your son has autism, I was also told by the psychologist that he will never have a job, never live alone, never go to college, never have a job, never have sex, never have kids, never have a girlfriend, never. My reaction, luckily unspoken, was, screw you, I'm going to prove you wrong about all of those things.
Good for you.
That was a devastating moment, in part because all the hopes and dreams that I had for my son were shattered in an instant. Ultimately, I learned that that really doesn't matter. My hopes and dreams for my son are secondary. What's primary is my son's hopes and dreams for himself. So let me share a couple of stories about Austin that will lead into the meaning of life. When Austin was 7 years old, I took him and his younger sister to New York City for 12 days over Christmas. We went to the largest toy store in the world, also in the Guinness Book of World Records, which you mentioned, called FAO Schwartz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so you can imagine during Christmas time, it's rather busy. Now, Austin at the time had a behavior called elopement. Elopement means that he liked to run away. Not so much to get away from the thing he was doing or the person he was doing it with, but more so to get to doing something that he wanted to do. Nevertheless, it was such a pervasive problem that for 12 days, I never let go of his hand unless we were in a car, plane, or hotel room. However, there was an exception to that. On the 4th floor of FAO Schwartz, my little daughter dropped something, and in the 3 seconds it took me to pick it up and hand it back to her, I had let go of Austin's hand, and when I went to grab it again, he was gone.
Wow, he bolted.
Boy.
He bolted. And so I immediately tried to find a store employee to help, no success. I ran straight for the front entrance of the store, found an NYPD officer. He immediately radioed for help from his colleagues, and they had officers manning every entrance.
Wow.
They all were texted a picture of my son, and this officer said to me, "Don't worry, your son will not escape this store." That was a huge sigh of relief, because had he done so, Times Square had 50,000 or more people in it.
Sure.
He would have been probably irretrievably lost. Now, though, I find myself having to find my son in FAO Schwartz, the biggest toy store in the world. For 15 or 20 minutes, I was running frantically through the store, oblivious to the people and toy displays that I knocked over. Eventually, a woman approached me and said, "Are you looking for a little boy?" I said, "Yes." She brings me over to the elevator bank, and there, gleefully standing there with a smile on his face, was my son going up and down the elevator.
He wanted that
over and
elevator.
over. Now,
That's
when
hilarious.
Austin was probably 2 years old, he figured out that one of the things he loves is things that are, I'll say, Boolean. In, out, up, down, on, off. these elevators literally and figuratively pushed a lot of those buttons for him. So he just loved it. He also learned quickly that he loved music. Everybody loves music, but Austin particularly loves it. He especially loves Michael Jackson, and particularly he loves the Michael Jackson song Bad. So if Austin sees a phone, an iPod, a PC, doesn't matter whose it is, he's going to go for it and play Bad. Honestly, he's probably played the song Bad, without exaggerating, at least 1 million times. And one of the many things I love about Austin is that when he likes something or loves something, it's forever. He doesn't ebb and flow with his affections. If he loves something, he's going to love it forever. Now, I could tell you a number of other anecdotes about Austin. Let me stop there because I think you are getting my point. And here brings us to the meaning of life. Thank you, Nordine. So it's very simple. It's really only two things. Number one, figure out what makes you happy, and two, maximize your time doing those things. So let's go through this a little bit more slowly. On the first thing, figure out what makes you happy. I find that with most people that I ask what makes you happy, either they have trouble answering the question, or they give a very short answer, or they give an answer that could be essentially unplugged from them and plugged into almost anyone else, applying equally well. What I mean is, what are the things that make you uniquely happy that may be different from those that make other people happy? Austin, if we were to FaceTime him right now and I asked him what's 2 + 2, I'm not sure he could give you the right answer. But with a little bit of prompting, if I asked what makes him happy, he could give you a list of at least 100 things that make him happy that probably are very different from anybody else. Michael Jackson for sure, and Bad for sure. He loves Michael Jackson. So, in fact, I hear there's going to be a Michael Jackson show at the Sphere in Las Vegas.
I've only seen pictures.
Amazing.
Well, I'm saving my first visit for him. Anyway, the bottom line is Austin has figured out what makes him happy. He also
the meaning of life.
The meaning of life. He maximizes his time in doing those things. I realize for most of us, we have constraints. We have to work.
And that's what I wanted to delve into. You know, when you say the meaning of life, you know, you're full of energy. Ken, right? You see that?
Oh, yeah.
We feel it.
You
don't have to say any word for me to see that. You know, and you bring up an amazing point here. What is the meaning of life? And you said everyone has a different way of thinking about this. My brother, about 20 years ago, went to visit my grandpa in North Africa, Algeria, and he slept together in the same bed for 2 weeks. He had his own room, but my grandpa said, you know, I need you to stay with me. So every night he would tell him stories of the Berber Bedouins and all these stories. And the night before, he said to him, I want to tell you something about the meaning of life. And he said, okay. What if I told you the meaning of life is no meaning at all? And what do you mean? Is living your life the way you're supposed to be living based on the love for the things you need to be doing? And my brother's like, not understanding all this. The next day, woke up, my grandpa passed away.
Oh my.
And so we pondered on that for a long time. He simply meant to say, whatever comes to you, take it as best as you can. Deal with it as best you can, whether it's not so good or the good. And I also appreciate the fact that your son has defined that for you, because you saw that with him. And I also relate to you. I don't have a child that is autistic, but my grandchild is.
Oh.
And one day when he was diagnosed, my son FaceTimed me, and he was 5 years old, right? He's now 8 or 9. And he said, Dad, look. And I'm like, what? He's counting in English. Never went to school for English. He's 5 years old. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
What?
7. Uncle Nordine, he started repeating, learning languages on his own to the iPad.
That's so cool.
So, and that, my son, just like yourself, discovered a whole new world. His life was about my son's life, my grandchild, his son's life.
Well, it is amazing the gifts that we all have, but those who are sometimes overlooked, people with disabilities, tend to have a lot more gifts than we think. You mentioned your grandson being able to count unexpectedly. My son, the one who probably can't add 2 + 2, can count to 10 in about 12 different languages. And every time we go to the gym, we count. We never count in English. We always count in other languages.
Amazing.
I should mention something about my daughter that you Nordine, will appreciate uniquely. During the 2000 presidential campaign, my then 4-year-old daughter, who was really into geography, said, "Dad, I have a perfect sponsor, a country to sponsor one of the presidential candidates." I said, What country is that? She said, Algoria.
Nice. Very creative. Creative mind.
Creative.
So I have, thanks to my son and my daughter, become an extremely happy person. And part of the reason is my son is probably the single happiest person that I know, despite his disability. And that makes me really happy.
That's the point. I mean, despite his disability, happiness has no link to anything or anybody.
Right.
It's a state
Absolutely
of being.
correct, yes.
You know, you felt that through your child because your child felt it himself.
Absolutely.
This is why you know now happiness is not linked to anything else. It's within you.
So this world record thing, I think everybody's real curious. I know
Yes,
I am.
absolutely.
Our viewers and listeners are wondering, what is the world record in? What did you do to get
since I
in
was
the Guinness Book?
Ken, since I was 6 years old, I had a fascination for the Guinness Book. I read it, I devoured it, I memorized every record, and I always looked for records that I could break. I had an obsession, I will say, with being the best in the world at something. It didn't matter how stupid the something was, or for how short a time I held that title. So I was probably 29 by the time I finally found this record, and it was basically fastest talking backwards. And so...
No way.
I want to hear that.
Passes talking backwards.
So basically,
how do you practice that?
Well, what happens is each word is pronounced the same way, but in reverse order. Now, I could pick up any piece of paper, read it backwards, and claim to be the fastest in the world. So clearly, there has to be a standard. The standard is there's an album by Queen called Night at the Opera. We all know it.
Right.
And if you read the album lyrics backward faster than anyone in history, then you get to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. So when I read that record in the book, I had the album, the actual LP, on my shelf, opened it, was pleased to see the lyrics there. The record at the time was 15 minutes and 7 seconds. And within the first 2 or 3 times trying it, I was able to do it in very close to the world record. And after practicing, and I think most Guinness World Record holders practice for years, decades, or their whole lifetimes. I practiced for a few hours. And then I was able to break the record consistently.
Outstanding.
Can you just read something for us backwards?
Well, I actually did. I set the record on a nationally syndicated radio show out of Los Angeles. If any of your reviewers or you listeners are familiar with 95.5 KLOS in Los Angeles.
Sure, yeah.
The Mark and Brian show. They were my favorite DJs, and I did the record on their show. So the last song on the album is Bohemian Rhapsody, which everyone knows.
Oh, yeah.
The last couple of lines of that song are, "Nothing really matters to me any way the wind blows." And normally I would only do this if all of us had an alcoholic drink in our hands. But since I don't think we can enforce that with your listeners and viewers.
It's close.
Yeah, okay, let me take a little
there,
sip
I have
here.
mine.
So backwards, that would be, "Blows when the anyway made of matters really nothing." And that is exactly why you need a drink in your hand to listen to this. So.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. And if you're watching this, if you can somehow play it backwards, you'll see if he's right. Because I don't even know if he's right. But it sounded good.
I ended up...
I believe you.
Like I said, the record was 15:7, and I did it in 11:56. So
wow, very impressive.
Got into the book.
How has the meaning of your life changed in the past year?
I'll say in 2 primary ways. One you mentioned earlier is this major Broadway musical about Abraham Lincoln that I'm co-producing. As lofty as that may sound, I'm really just a little peg on the totem pole. All I do as co-producer is raise investment money for the play. When I first got this gig, and I only got it not because of my credentials, but because my lifelong friend is the wife of the guy who created and is producing this play. And honestly, my expectations of myself for those first few weeks were that I would raise $0 from 0 investors. Luckily now, it's been a year. The results have been pretty different. We had a very successful round 1 where we raised everything we needed for our 7-week run at the La Jolla Playhouse, which finished with every night sold out, rave reviews from the critics, and a prediction that we're going to be the next Hamilton.
So if you could call it now, do you think you'll be the next Hamilton?
Yes, but Hamilton recently only became the fourth play in history to surpass $1 billion in revenue. Now, I figured out it became the quickest to do so. It only took 8 years, several of which were COVID years. By comparison, one of the other three, Phantom, took 28 years.
Wow.
Now, if we do 10% as well as Hamilton, we will do very well. Our investors will make a lot of money. However, yes, I think for a variety of reasons, we may do as well as Hamilton or even better. I'll give you just a couple. Hamilton, everybody's heard of Hamilton, but nobody really knows who he was. He was basically Secretary of the Treasury. Lincoln was an actual president.
I know he's on a dollar or a currency.
Which currency, Ken?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay,
I never carry cash.
What money is Abraham Lincoln on? Either of you guys?
$5.
The $5 bill and
the 100.
No, the penny.
Washington.
The penny.
The penny.
Okay.
Now, I'm so excited about this play that I get excited anytime I see anything to do with Lincoln. If I'm driving behind a Lincoln.
What is Hamilton? I don't know.
I'm going to decline to answer that because I don't want to tell you something I'm not 100% certain
We
of.
got to Google that.
But now when I see a $5 bill or even a penny, I get excited about it. But, Abraham Lincoln is arguably the most popular president in history, judging by Google searches and a whole number of other things. In fact, he has more biographies written about him, 19,000 of them, than any human being in history except for Jesus. The most renowned and important of those biographies was by Doris Kearns Goodwin. It's called Team of Rivals. Doris Kearns Goodwin won a Pulitzer Prize. She's on TV all the time. And not only is she the foremost expert on Abraham Lincoln, she's also the official historian of our play. So that makes it really exciting.
$10 bill, by the way.
Thank you. That's what Google
I Googled it.
You did.
Excellent.
Thanks, Google.
So, and frankly, Hamilton, I've talked to a lot of people who either didn't like it or were sort of meh about it.
Yeah.
For various reasons, one of which is it relied on rap music, which maybe puts some sort of a cap as to its popularity and understandability. Plays like that, the music is integral to the plot. And so if you're missing some of the lyrics, you're going to miss part of the plot. Our play has more traditional show music, R&B, blues, gospel, and all the lyrics are very understandable. This play talks about a lot of issues that are more important in our society and our country today than ever before since the 1860s. The division of the country into the reunification of the country, racial rights, voting rights, equal rights, and a lot more. I have had investors who literally told me when they invested, they said, I'm not investing in this play to make money, I'm investing in this play to make our country better.
To bring awareness, yeah.
And as an example of that, we will be performing a special concert of our music on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C.
When was that? When is that?
We have yet to set the date, but it will likely be in the next few months before we open on Broadway. We're expecting to open on Broadway February 12th, which is Lincoln's birthday. And incidentally, in case your listeners are unaware, next year, which is when we premiere and when this concert will likely take place, is our nation's 250th anniversary. And for those word nerds, it's called the semi-quincentennial. Anyway, we are inviting all of the senators and congresspeople to attend our concert. And one of the key congresspeople, Jamie Raskin from Maryland, is a friend of our producer, whose name, like mine, is Allan. Jamie wrote Allan an email a couple of weeks ago saying he's been very successful in getting a lot of his colleagues, senior leaders from both parties and from both houses of Congress, to agree to attend this performance. It's going to be very exciting.
That's really cool. A quick question. I'll put you on the spot a little bit.
Please do.
Because you've had a very diverse career. You've done a lot. So what would you say the most rewarding aspect of your career has been, or any, because you've had multiple careers, but what would you pick as being the most rewarding?
Second most was co-founding a technology company back in the .com era, which did very well, helped a lot of Fortune 500 companies with their technology. And ultimately, when we went public, there were probably 100 of my employees that became millionaires. That was rewarding, but not nearly as rewarding as what I did next. During that whole ride, I kept thinking, I want to make the world a better place. I know that sounds like a cliche, but when the golden handcuffs came off, I became the first of the co-founders to leave, and I started the company that you mentioned, PowerSite 123. It's now been 25 years that we've been in business, and our main passion is to help nonprofits create world-class interactive websites, not just to describe their missions, but to further them. by raising money, by raising awareness, by getting more clients, by doing a whole number of other things. So in those 25 years, I've been gratified to help literally thousands of nonprofits, some by building great websites for them, others by helping them with online fundraising, others by serving on their boards, others by doing consulting in a variety of other ways. So, and with almost no exceptions, all of those nonprofits I feel are helping the world to become a better place. So in my own little way, I'm sort of transitively helping to do that.
That was your goal.
Thank you. Thank you for being on the show.
It goes quick.
For bringing that.
Are we done already?
Wow. It happens
Time
fast.
flies when you're
telling
having fun with.
I'm sure viewers
it's,
loved it.
It's the guests that we have here, and they really match the goal of this, or our mission and vision, which is to bring awareness to the world, and uplift people, and give them tools to succeed. And so, thank you for sharing those, and for your son to be able to contribute while not being here in the show. So thank you very much.
For those people who are just listening on podcast, I want to raise your awareness. Nordine, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is a 2-time Mr. Universe, and sitting here next to him, you can tell he's a good-looking, very fit guy.
Oh, no, thank you so much. By the way, I just gave him $100 and who is on the $100 bill?
I don't
Franklin.
know. I just know. Well, okay.
Franklin.
I know the $10
Why did I say
bill
Washington?
now.
Well, I have an excuse. I'm
Washington
French.
is $1, right?
So I don't pay attention who was on the bill as long as it's a bill. Again, thank you.
My pleasure.
And thank you to all of our viewers. We appreciate you joining us today as we had Allan here visiting with us. And please, and Nordine will be the first one to tell you to comment.
Absolutely comment.
Right? Comment, share, like, or subscribe. And we hope you enjoyed this episode of No Limits Life, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
No Limits Life, absolutely.